I've been visiting you, judging if it would be necessary to communicate. And I'm afraid it is.
Right, let's get it kicked off. So, DevStream number 1. First Dolmen DevStream. So, we kick off tonight's DevStream with a little update on the Kickstarter. Kickstarter is now at 87% funded and we've got 29 days to go, which is absolutely amazing. To all of you guys, thank you so much for supporting Dolmen and helping us make Dolmen become a great game. Keep an eye out tomorrow. We've got a new update rolling out focusing on ranged updates and information on the next dev stream, who's going to be in it. And I will now introduce you guys to the two devs that we've got with us. We've got Gabriel Neves and we've got Luiz Henrique. I hope I said both your names right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll let you guys say hello quickly.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey guys. Hey guys, what's happening?
Cool, so we'll go to you, Neves. What is your job role in
I'm mainly a programmer. So I work on features that you see on the game, also on the user interface, and that stuff that you play.
Yeah. And Luiz?
Well, I'm the game designer, responsible for most of the mechanics, and one of the programmers developing the game alongside Gabriel and the other couple of devs.
Awesome. So, since the last Kickstarter, there's been some huge changes. I know not all of our fans know these changes, so do you guys want to go into a bit of detail about what's changed from the last Kickstarter to the build that we're playing on today?
Well, from the ground up, it's mostly polishing. We had some polishing iterations, so the visuals of the games are extremely better and the performance is better as well. And regarding the mechanics, the enemies were improved, the AI itself. The save game now is running properly. During the first Kickstarter, we had a small prototype running, but it was not as accurate as we wanted. Now the save game is performing as we expected. And
Don't be afraid.
a couple of changes happened to the mechanics regarding energy. Energy has been
Painless.
reworked. Now it regenerates depending on the actions that you do. And that makes energy a little bit more forgiving for you to use it as you shoot or enter energy mode to attack.
Yeah, I remember that in the previous builds, energy was not very forgiving. Once you'd used it, that was pretty much it for quite a while until you did something to get it back.
Yeah. So those are their major things.
There were also a few changes to the UI that we're still in development, so you can see it's starting to change. So the main menus changed, and also a little bit of crafting that's being implemented also. So at the moment, when you see the crafting interface, you're gonna see a prototype that's not completed yet, but it will be by the end of the Kickstarter.
I have seen little bits of the new UI and it is looking absolutely amazing. We'll show you guys some of the new UI that is already implemented into this build in a little bit. Sig, so welcome Sigma. Any plans to release the game on disc? I think right now we're focusing on a digital release, but a physical release could be something that is looked at in the future. So we've covered what you guys have worked on since the last Kickstarter. What are the plans that you are currently working on that are going to be going out to the build that our backers will be receiving at the end of the Kickstarter?
Well, for me saying, we worked on some more traps that is being worked for the new level. We also are working on new traits for the weapons, the skill tree to be developed. And as I previously said, we're working on crafting and increasing its capabilities. So choosing different materials to make your weapons and armors composition a little bit better, so your armors can be improved and also your weapons, and that in the game can make a way difference. So you have a skill tree. When you go crafting, you already can see a prototype of it, and that can majorly change your gameplay.
I'm gonna go there now so people can see the early prototype that is in this build. And you can all see what's coming. It's not currently in this build. Through the streams that we do up to the end of the Kickstarter, you guys will see things progressing and changing in the game. But here's a little teaser of what is to come. So when we look at the Driller Striker here, let's have a look. I might be able to craft now. So yeah, look at the Driller Striker. You can see over here we've got these slots here that we can use to enhance the weapon. It's not live as of yet, but you can see what is coming in, and in the future builds we will be able to show you guys what we'll be working on with that, as well as the skill trees and the attributes upgrading as well. Anything from you, Luiz, for changes coming before the end of Kickstarter?
Well, I had to step out real quick, but I believe that I think Gabriel covered most of it.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple of things that we're gonna have to choose what we want to be in the Kickstarter build as of now, but mostly I think that's it.
Nice. Good evening, Neves. So, you guys in the chat, do you have any questions for Gabriel and Luiz? If you do, just ask away in the chat and we'll pass them over to them.
What is also interesting is that by the time Luiz is also making some changes to how the bosses behave and their difficulty.
Yes, the Dimensional Queen, she's getting a rework, isn't she?
Yeah. So you on the next build you can check it out.
Nice.
Don't be afraid. Awakening is kind of a needed death, and almost
So you guys have been
painless.
with Dolmen for quite a while now. What is your favourite enemy?
I think I pretty much like the Canipte.
Yes.
His jumping like frustrates me a lot, but I really like it. And taking it too near to the edge and make it throw itself up, so it's kind of funny.
Yes. Canipte is one of my favourite as well.
What about you, Luiz?
Well, the enemy that I find most interesting that's not in the build, actually, there's two of them, the Cutlower and the Keeper. So those are actually the last enemies that we worked on. So they're quite interesting in how they work.
I've had a chance to fight the Cutlower, and yeah, it is very interesting to fight the Cutlower. Who saw up the Sentinel? They are damn right evil.
Yeah, they are.
Luckily so far, we're only having to face one at a time. But I know later on, there's going to be times when we fight more than one. Good evening and welcome, Longshot. Do you have any questions for Neves or Luiz? Remember, everyone in the stream, we are giving away a key for this build. At the end of the stream, we'll be giving away one key. All you have to do is be here, interact, and that's you in for a chance of winning a Steam key. Can you have a hug? Pedro sent you a love. That's your hug. Any unexplored caves of death? Yes, we're going into the lovely trap that Ansheta asked me to go into last time. We'll work our way towards there. Show you the driller striker drop that is at present there. Ooh, that was by the skin of our teeth there.
By the way, Alexander, what is the weapon that you're liking the most? By the way, not that you're playing.
Yeah, my favorite weapon is actually the driller striker.
Why so?
I like the driller because it's big. I like the weapons. I like how when you hit the enemies, they actually react and fly up into the air. And my ranged weapon is the pitoplasma. Just because I like to burn things.
Cool.
I like to set things on fire, and the pitoplasma lets me do that. So, question for you guys. How hard was it to have this big scenes running without letting the FPS drop?
That's actually some work that we make constantly, so that we're doing all the time, so speaking on the performance. It's really hard in doing it, but all I have to do is pay some attention and on the things that are important, and I think knowing how to escalate things is really important, and to give the necessary attention to what's gonna be on screen. So when you can see your screen, you have like a lot of elements on it, but we have to be careful to not pollute with the things that really take performance. So some particles effects, those kind of stuff.
You've been doing an excellent job of that as well, managing the resources. And we've got another one from Longshot. Are there going to be any RPGs? RPGs make everything better.
RPGs as a game mechanic, or RPG
as a weapon?
As a weapon. Well, we're thinking of how making weapons interesting in the game. So you're going to have access to heavy weapons and medium-sized weapons, and they're going to be a playstyle by themselves. So that's pretty much another way to play. We have one that's already in testing. We aim to have it available. Not sure if it's going to be available for the Kickstarter because we want to finish the whole UI and the crafting system. But let's see if we can get there.
Nice. Oh. I always forget about those eggs exploding. Long shot, I'm not hearing a no on the RPG.
No, you're not.
Just have to wait and see what comes out of the creative minds. I know we do have that one heavy weapon in testing at the moment, and it is amazing. But I know a lot of other weapons are in the concept stages that you guys are wanting to make and test.
Yeah.
It's all about finding the right balance as well for the game, which is always difficult when you're introducing like a heavy weapon. I've got to try and make it upstairs because they want me to go into that lovely death cave.
Dog is...
Cost me 4 lives last time. And last time I made it right towards the end. Yeah, we're on our way to the death cave. I need to go unlock that elevator so that we can go across. So any other questions?
You know, even though we don't have an RPG at this moment, it's pretty funny to see things burn, like I said. And gathering a few of those spidery monsters around and setting them on fire, making them really shoot everywhere.
I love it when you pick up lightning.
Yes.
I've also been given another challenge by Anshetta to try and make it across this bridge. What would you guys like to see first? Me trying to make it across there? I'll go to the death cave.
Well, there's a high chance of you dying in both situations, so...
Oh, I'm gonna die in both.
Yeah.
How many ranged weapons are gonna be in the game? Is there gonna be anything like
Well,
rifles or rocket launchers?
If you use your momentum to try to jump the gap, now there's something that we're testing in the game that's a little bit of momentum when you attack and run. So if you run and heavy attack, your jump is going to be a little bit farther. So
oh, we made it! We made it across the bridge.
Nice one.
Lots of momentum and rolling. No, no. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
The cake was a lie.
The cake was a lie. That was a lie. I don't have enough life for you. You have to let me use... Oh, I don't have enough energy left to shoot my gun.
Hey Luiz, about the question Alexander asked, do you want to spoil a bit if we're gonna have rifles, rocket launchers, and how many ranged weapons we can have?
Well, it's going to depend a little bit on our scope. Depends on how much time we're going to have to work and create these weapons. But ideally, it would be nice, in my head, we have a couple of categories because weapons are something very important in the game. So the dynamic of ranged and melee weapons and how you use them. So heavy weapons are gonna deal much more damage compared to a pistol, but they're gonna leave you much more exposed. So it's a risky trade-off, and giving options on how many weapons and medium and heavy weapons that take different times for you to shoot and pick up and put back, and their effects as well. Well, ideally, it would be nice to have at least a couple of each category that we have in mind.
Well, there you go. There is the answer onto our ranged weapons. Nope, I forgot about you. Must shoot you in the back. Oh! Death 1 for the night. And we didn't make it to the cave. We made it to the elevator, but we did not make it to the cave. Too much flashy rolling. So at present we've got the Zoan Axe, the Driller Striker, the Bizarre Axe, and the Brute Shield. I think that's all correct, yes? That.
No, we have the Scrap Sword as well.
Oh yes, the Scrap Sword as well, yes.
And it was the Sentinel Shield.
Is there going to be anything like a pole arm?
What do you mean?
to...
Yes,
Yes.
there is a pole arm in the concept, but like Luiz said, that really depends on whether you're gonna have the time and ability to make the animations for it, and etc.
It's gonna, we have one weapon as well. It's already built, but we're keeping it under the covers for now. It's a weapon that you're gonna build off the first mini boss.
Oh.
So there's that as well. It's another heavy weapon.
Nice.
But as Gabriel says, the extra weapons that we want to create will depend on how far we will be able to go with the project.
Yes. So that all depends on Kickstarter and how far we manage to push it.
Yeah.
How long is the game going to be, or do you want it to be? So our ideal scope for the game is quite a large one. For what you guys are going to get out of the Kickstarter, it's going to from the demo, you're going to get about 2 to 3 hours in this demo. A beginning playthrough. As you get better, kind of but the overall play for the end game that you're going to receive from Kickstarter is between 4 to 6 hours. So again, that is depending on where we can go with what we raise on Kickstarter. The ideal end game that we want to make for Dolmen is a massive world, and I can't put a playtime figure on that right now. Didn't even make it to the cave. I love this cave, by the way. You've done a really good job with these traps. Try and make it past him. Not off the edge. So evil because he stands right near the edge and I don't want to jump off the edge.
Yeah, enemies are always trying to lurk you in to get you there safe.
Yes.
Dolmen is actually really about the environment and the enemies. Everything is against you. You're really on that unknown.
The enemy AI is definitely increased from the early alpha that we released. Are there going to be any pitfall traps? I know we've got the dummy bridges. Are we going to be adding any pitfall type traps into the game?
Yeah, a major part of the game is the ability for you to analyze your environment and make choices based on that. So, to the newcomer or the adventurer that's not paying attention to the environment, putting him into a bad position is something that we're always looking forward to do.
Yeah.
So, if you're paying attention, you probably won't fall into anything. But if in some moment you let your guard down, you're for sure gonna pounce on it.
Well, this will punish you the moment you think you're safe and you let your guard down.
Well, we have answering the question for Novinsky that if there's going to be any multiple interactions. we have one of the stretch goals far along the road
The
of
closest
having a
experience
co-op
my race
and
had with a hand was
competitive.
just
That's
ripped
the same as
off.
the invasion.
No physical
Normally
pain.
that these games
I
have.
try to avoid my
The
central
nature of the
nervous system.
invasion, we don't want to spoil it. And in a much more future timeline, we wanted to create a multiplayer map similar to like something that inspired us a little bit like Dark Souls and The Division, as this game is heavily built upon crafting, so have a zone in the game where multiple players gather and compete for special materials.
What's about... so we're delving into the RPG side now. So, will there be choices such as save or kill?
Well, that's a choice you're constantly making with the gear that you have. So every time you kill a player or kill an enemy or loot something from the environment, you have to choose if you're going to use it to heal yourself and get back to health, or if you're going to save it and bring it back to base for you to use it as an equipment or as a consumable later on. So that's an implicit choice that we offer to players.
Oh, no. I know it's around the corner. We nearly got there. We nearly got there. Will there be any interactable NPCs?
Well, that's something that you're gonna have to play to find out.
There we go. Living weapons. Are living weapons a possibility from Sigma?
What do you mean as living weapons?
We've got the organic armor. Is it going to be anything that goes down to the organic side to the point where it's a weapon that's not just a weapon, but it's also still part of the creature that we pulled it from?
Well, the art team has some pretty ideas off the rails, and so it's probably something that's open to them. And the mechanics of the weapons and the special abilities that they have would be nice to derive something from that. Because the creative process comes from two sides, from a design perspective and sometimes from a creative perspective from the art team, of a new idea that they come with, and we can see if it fits into the game and to the experience that we want to offer. So it's not something that we thought of from a design perspective, but from an artistic perspective, it's something that could happen.
Long shot. Will there be pets? They want a pet Dementula.
Well, all the pet Dementulas that we have in the office died, so... Well, a weapon that behaves by itself is something a little bit more feasible, like a weapon that has its own agenda. Like, let's say an ammunition that pursues its targets depending on some decision based by itself. Is something that's always possible.
You guys can see that Alexander is tryharding right now.
Yes, I am trying so hard to get into that cave without dying. Even these little guys hurt so much. will there be something that resembles spells, like items or weapons with different effects other than just hitting the enemy? So do you mean something that could turn an enemy to be a brief ally or something like that? Yeah, like runes from Doom. Is that what you mean?
What I can spoil for you guys is that we have some consumables that can do more than healing you and giving you armor or energy.
There's a couple of things that the materials they don't just create equipment and weapons, but they can create these consumables with different effects. So that's something that is feasible. But these effects normally affect as you consume them, not something that, well, now that I think of it, yeah, the consumables would be as you casting a spell or a rune that gives you an effect for a certain period of time. That effect can be something that increases your defense, increases your offense, or maybe something that increases your drop rate or your movement speed. So there's a lot of things that we can experiment with.
I want my items back. I know they're gonna kill me.
Yeah.
Oh, that was lucky.
Don't disturb the ants.
Yes, there will be, like, similar to boosters. There won't be permanent. If I'm correct, there won't be permanent. Oh no! We're at the end.
You were almost there.
I got there last night as well. I actually got up to the blue orb and I died. Good evening, Heimdall.
So regarding these boosters, they're going to exist, but it's not just that. There's a lot more that we can build from there in creating interesting items that you want to create to use. Something that, like what Alexander was saying, that maybe an item that makes a type of enemy not hostile to you, and something that we always wanted to build was a faction system in the game where a couple of races, they don't attack each other, but if you can get them to hit each other, they become hostile. So maybe you can drink a booster that makes you allies to a faction, and after you take damage, everybody around changes allegiance, like you behave as a spider and fighting against the Knuckles, and they start pitting each other. The best thing in this game is seeing the AI fighting each other. It's super fun.
Yes.
But it's something on the table. It's something that we can build upon.
Will there be throwables?
Currently, no. We had the idea of working on consumables, but there are the core mechanics of the game that we want to give attention and make them solid for attaching on to 1,001 new mechanics. Like the throwables was always on the table, an idea of you throwing grenades, you throwing traps, the possibility of you creating drones. That would be the pet system, that you could throw them on the ground and it started following you, or you could have a drone that's a mine that you tack on the wall, and when the enemy gets close, it explodes. A drone that helps you find loot in the world. So that was an idea, but the idea of this game is a survival experience, with the sense of you feeling alone in this world. So putting pets and drones and things to follow you around would make you feel less lonely. So that's one of the reasons that the idea went off the table.
what plans are there for Dolmen after launch?
Well, as the launch of any game, we want to take care of any issues or any problems that the massive market might find. So we have a couple of specs of computers that we're constantly testing the game on, but there might be situations that we haven't anticipated and can happen. And so support would be the first step after launch, depending on the receptance of the market. It's a game that we hope we can turn it into a small trilogy or a small franchise, and after delivering the first chapter of this game, delivering the second, not as a second game, but as a second episode of the same game. So maybe the most the best analogy would be an expansion, like an episode 2 or chapter 2, because there's a big story that we want to tell, and this game, the current state of the game is just the introduction to the world.
Oh, I see where you're going from there, Nevinsky. They've thought of that. These are bulletproof. We can't shoot these and set these ones off. There's certain ones that you will be able to interact with and shoot, but there are ones that we cannot. So what plans? Yeah, we've answered that. So there is no plans, I do believe, for an in-game marketplace, is there?
No.
No. Yeah. No. That was a big explosion, and there goes all my items. Bye-bye, items. It's been
Yeah,
good
I
to know
think
you.
dodging inside that cavern is not the best idea.
No.
It's a little bit of more being tiptoey and walking slowly between
I
the
meant
lines.
to roll, and I double pressed my B and dodged straight back into the huge one.
Yeah, there's some moments that you have to tiptoe a bit, and some moments that you have to dodge. So
as you guys can see, aggressive does not always work in this world. Be aggressive with some enemies, but there are enemies that will punish you for being aggressive.
Not only the enemies, but also the environment, right?
Yeah, the environment's really going to punish you if you're far too aggressive in this game. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I walked off that bridge there last night trying to shoot this guy. So I'll take him from afar. He's gonna have me. Right. Put a slow stun on me. Right, let us try again. Nice and slow. I really should go pick up my Pitoplasma. It is my favourite gun. But I'm showing off the Zoan pistol for a change. I don't often use it on the stream. It is a very handy pistol. Thought about remaining civilizations who have developed over time. Ooh, so now we're delving into the lore of Revian Prime, are we, Sigma? So, let's see. What plans do we have to represent the civilizations that have been and gone from Revian Prime? Is that something that we can reveal, or is that something for a later date?
yeah, you'll soon. Well, there's a little bit about the lore that we shared in other events regarding what's Dolmen, what's happened in Revian Prime. So Revian Prime is a planet not inhabited by a single race, but actually a society of races, and each race had their own style and their own culture, and something catastrophic happened for an unknown reason because of a rune, actually a stone. Actually, it's not a stone. Each race sees it as one type of object, and this stone gives the user the ability to travel time and space. So actually, you're not just uncovering the past, but there's a bit of the present and a little bit of the future that you need to pay attention to.
Wow, that hit me that hard. I actually flew back here and died. That's impressive. So how hard are the bosses? Well, our first boss that you will encounter in this build, in the demo that you guys will receive, I'd say she's pretty tough. She's getting made to be tougher. That's correct, isn't it?
Yes. And you can also say that even some devs can kill some bosses.
Oh, so yeah, some of the devs have not been able to kill the boss that's in this build, and she's getting made to be harder. Nice and slow, without getting poisoned. It's these little narrow corridors that do not forgive you. No matter how slow you go, you're gonna set something off. Yep. We made it. We're at the end. Yeah, poison isn't as bad as exploding. That's for sure. Now I've got to focus on not getting set alight, because this guy really hurts. He is my favourite type of enemy though, the Kinipte. Right, let's go craft the Driller Striker and get the Pitoplasma out. I'll see if we can make it to the boss tonight. We haven't made it there yet on a stream. We keep dying before we get there. Any other questions for Neves and Luiz? Right, let's level up just a wee bit, because we've spent most of our experience dying. Don't think we have enough to craft any armor. I think I've eaten it all. So there you go, you can see there. I made the decision to get health. Not that it benefited me much in that cave. Yeah, I got blown up. But I can't craft any. Oh, I can craft some Zoan stuff. You guys haven't seen the new Zoan stuff yet. Zoan T1. Will there be stages with mid-stage boss fights? So mini bosses. Or are you talking about two-phase boss fights and those sorts of encounters? That's both. So there we go. Will there be mini bosses, and will boss fights have different encounter stages?
Different encounter stages, yes. the boss that you'll face in the end of this chapter. It has multiple stages. It's not a stage that's controlled by health like normally most games do. It's something that's paced around your performance against them. The performance is not just health, but other things as well. And encounters that spawn other creatures. This is something that the first mini boss already has. Actually, it has depending on the way that you play against it. So the experience with each boss is different depending on the way that you play.
Painless.
So the energy blasts from the shield, they are viable against smaller enemies, but the bigger enemies, the bosses, will not react to getting stunned. And this is why I love it. Get that swing and get in the air. But as with the heavy weapons, as you'd expect, there is a cost, and that is you use a lot more stamina. But I still love it so much.
Do you normally use it with the energy mode on or not?
You know, I normally use it with energy mode on, but when I'm using the other reactor. Let's go back and put the other reactor on. Have I shown the other reactor off yet on a stream? I'm pretty sure I've only shown off the blue one. So, molten reactor. Nice new different one. Everything will now be red. So you'll have noticed with the last reactor, when I used energy mode, it placed the ice debuff on enemies. This one is a little bit more unique. With it, if you watch the attack, that's our normal light attack. We now send an energy arc wave out with each swing.
Is kind of a needed death, and almost painless.
It is sort of like going from the light side to the dark side of the Jedi. I am now bright red. Oh, I missed. That's my fault for not locking on. I'm going to have to use some of that to heal. I don't have enough energy to do it. What about health steal? Is that a perk that you guys are looking at, a health steal perk for weapons?
Yeah, there's a couple of ideas. Not actually only restricted to health, but stamina and energy as well. So, for example, we have a couple ideas regarding a couple of weapons that have perks aligned with poison that can help you regain stamina and health. And at the same time, we have the element that's not in this chapter, that's magnetism, and it will influence a little bit about energy and temporary health. Not trying to give much on how things will work.
Right, so as you guys saw there, I thought it was pretty safe. Thought I'd show you the pit of plasma. I forgot to detonate one of the pods and dodged straight back into it, and they hit me and they did not forgive me for that.
This game never forgives me.
It never forgives. We'll try it on these ones.
Yeah. Also on that matter about health stealing, you can also use the mechanics that you have to recover your health. So when attacking enemies, you can get their way for getting energy by using your reactor. A reactor has some unique ways to recover energy. So you can use that to recover your health. So that's, for example, a reactor that gives energy when hitting enemies or hitting enemies with special conditions, for example. So that's an indirect way for health stealing.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. I'm pretty sure these ones can be shot. I love that effect that gets left behind when you kill them, when they've got the red effect, the molten effect on them. Right, we've got 10 minutes left of this, our very first dev stream. So if you guys have any more questions that you want to get answered, make sure you get them out. What modification you can craft or find? So this is about the new modification system that's coming in. What modifications do you need to find them, or can they be crafted?
So every material that you encounter in the game, it's a recipe material, or it's an equipment material. So a recipe material is the bones of an equipment. You need it to be able to craft the item. And then there's the equipment materials that are materials that can be slotted, one of 3 slots. And depending on the position that you place the slot will affect differently the weapon. So you can find a metallic equipment material. If you place it in the first slot, it will change only the attributes. If you place it in the second slot, and if it's an armor, you're going to get skill points that will feed off into a tree, and these skill points will create new dynamics and new passive abilities that will enhance your character. So these modifications will majorly only change attributes and the skill tree system for armors. For now, we don't have any foreseeable plan of changing the perk of the weapon or adding a new perk to it.
And that is why I love pick up plasma. It makes
That chain reaction.
that chain reaction off the pit of plasma is so good. But I do find, with it being so good, I often put myself in situations that I shouldn't, and I end up dying. I think I've got this, I've got a nice weapon that can help me handle the surrounding. It doesn't always work that way. This is my favourite setup. The molten reactor, pit of plasma, and the driller striker. For this build, it is definitely my favourite. Right. Will there be health regeneration mods aside from health stealing mods?
Well, the mods themselves will not affect the game currently that way, if not on this skill tree. So you don't want to add many ways that you can recover health and make the system too complex that there's 1 million options, and for the user that's not a good experience, and for game development that's not good as well, because the game could be easily broken and it will ruin the experience. So the modifications will enhance and slightly change how the existing systems work. That makes it easier for you guys to understand and to think on how you can mix and match things. And it makes a little bit of the development iteration easier, because we can balance it as best we can to avoid broken systems.
Mod support. So, will we be allowing mods into the game?
Currently, no.
No. There we go. Nice and easy answer. No at present.
Yeah.
We've got time. You guys have got one more question, and then we'll be doing our mini draw, and then we'll be finishing this, our very first dev stream up. How many devs currently in the team?
Well, currently the project this year is a little bit smaller than the last year. But currently, our team is comprising everybody from marketing, the Q&A, and artists. Everybody, I think we're in the ballpark of about 20 developers.
What part are you looking forward to most while playing or developing the game?
Well, I do enjoy pretty much everything. I think the best answer, in my opinion, I don't know if Gabriel agrees with me, but the part of player interaction is always very enjoyable, but at the same time it's something that you need to iterate a lot, and sometimes that makes it a little bit tiring, but I think everything is interesting to do on it.
Yeah, and also I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys get the stretch goals and maybe the co-op, and really waiting to develop it.
What about?
But about playing, I'm really looking forward to checking the new weapons. Those are really cool, and I really want to see other people play with it and check them out. Yeah.
Right. Last question is what about outside exploration / progression? What do you mean by that, Sigma? Do you mean, because this here is just one part of Revian Prime. This is the dump, as it is going by at the moment. Free roam games like Fallout are great.
We can at this moment it's not really what it's meant to be for, but Revian Prime is expected as a huge planet. So it has its indoors and it has its outdoors. So yeah, on this main chapter, on this first chapter, there is no outdoor exploration, but on the other ones, I can say yes.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it from this introductory chapter, but the game is, we consider it as open world. So it's not linear, like you got to do this, you got to do that, and there's the list of bosses that you need to pass to finish the game. We don't expect it to build the rest of the game like this. The start of the game has a lot of this of keeping a tight leash for you to find your way. But after that first part, then you're left to your own luck. And it's up to you to find the way off the planet and to discover what happened in Revion Prime.
And a sneak peek of it is shown on the whale that you can see when you're on the crater. It's outside and it's floating over there. You can kill those.
Alright, so thank you very much, Luiz and Neves, for joining us tonight on the first dev stream. Our next dev stream will be next Wednesday. Our guest will be announced on one of the Kickstarter updates. So thank you guys very much for the amazing questions tonight, and thank you very much to Luiz and Neves for joining us.
All right, it's our pleasure.